It's a beautiful Friday morning and I welcome you to VOP this morning. I am Moses Humphrey. Now, just a quick reminder, in Lagos, where we're broadcasting from, local government elections holds tomorrow, and restriction on movement has been revised. Initially, it was from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m., but I think it's been revised to 6 a.m. So from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., there will be restriction of movement, and this was done to allow those that have emergencies attend to their emergencies, those that have prior arrangements to travel, move from one place to another, probably the airport, before they travel, or get on the road before 6 a.m. so they can meet up with whatever arrangements they have. Oh well, having said that, I do expect that you adjust your schedule so you don't get caught up in the web. Now, restriction of movement both on the roads and the waterways. All right, now let's get into the conversation this morning. $747 million more debt amid hunger. Federal government takes loan for Lagos-Calabar highway as some economists warn of soaring food prices. No president has authority to remove even a councillor. Shettima speaks as he slams Tinubu over Fubara's removal as Adoke, Bello Adoke breaks silence on the OPL 245 deal. Now, these are the conversations, plus a 200 trillion naira missing. NNPC boss, Biojulari, Biojulari was summoned by the Senate and he fails to appear before the Senate again. Oh well, all of these conversations will be X-raying this morning. Now, before we get into all of that, let's touch on a few other conversations that Nigerians are having. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. All right, if you've not really clicked or subscribed to our YouTube channel, do well to do that. On YouTube, we had Voice of the People Television, and on all vast social media platforms, we have VOP TV Live. And as Voice of the People, we just have more than a voice, so you can make use of the number you see scrolling on your screen, call in during this particular program and subsequent ones so that we can get your opinion as regards any of the topic of conversation. And talking about trending stories, Senate President Godswill Akpabio removed Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduara as chairperson of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Civil Societies, replacing her with Senator Victor Ume. The abrupt reshuffle, which has sparked strong political debate, comes amid growing friction within the upper chamber over leadership style and perceived sidelining of vocal lawmakers. While no official reasons was given, insiders suggest the move may be linked to Natasha's recent board criticism and rising popularity, raising questions about internal democracy and political retaliation within Nigeria's National Assembly. Interesting one. When I saw the story yesterday, the first question I asked myself is, what is really happening? Is it that Nigeria political space at this point in time has been reduced to a point whereby if I'm not happy with you, and then I have upper hands where you are, I can, wake up and say, I'm taking this out in order. Anyway, when Akpabio named Anel Kanbasi, who happens to be representative from Akwa Ibom Northeast as the new chairperson of that committee, Diaspora and NGOs committee, I was like, what is really happening? Is this more like a personal vendetta or what? And then, some questions, some Nigerians actually asking all these questions. Why are we having this reshuffling? Why must it come up at this point in time? This particular lady was a bit vocal about the happenings within the house. She's not comfortable with some things. I decided to voice it out. At the end of the day, she was suspended over the fact that she didn't say the way she's supposed to. She flouted the house rule and all that. Okay, no problem. The case went to court, and the court actually overturned the judgment of the National Assembly or their law book and all that, and say that she should be called back. There were fines being placed on her for the contempt and all that. But at the end of the day, coming up to say you're reshuffling the whole thing and you're pulling her out, on a norm, this must raise eyebrow, even if it is for a just cause. even if it is for a just cause. Some Nigerians are questioning why at this point in time. What really happened? Why is it that this lady just appeared there on Tuesday and then yesterday or thereabout, you already reshuffling the seat or pulling her out from the committee that she chairs and all that? And when I listened to that, I listened to Bob say something about some committee members or some committees having double vice chairpersons or double vice chairmen, even have 3 chairmen and all that, vice chairmen and all that, deputies. And then this one, I have just one single person, and the second, you're pulling out the person. Now, where do you want to place her? Is it that you just want to make it open to say that I'm not happy with the way she's going about this, or you still want to show yourself like you're still the big boss? This is what Nigerians are asking. This is the question Nigerians are asking. Because you're the president of the Senate, you want everyone actually now to be gagged, to play by your rules. Okay. Because you're the one who plays the piper, you want to dictate the tune of it.
Allow me button at this point.
You shouldn't button Moses. Men should be meant to face how it's going to be. Do you know that Abaribe said something also in the house? You don't talk to them like that because you're not. All of them.
Women thing.
See,
let's not
even when Abaribe complained about the happenings in that. Okay, fine. I'm not going to make it a gender war because on this table too, both of us are men. I understand. Gentlemen of the press, I know. But now, when Abaribe was talking about something happening in the house, Abaribe said something. You're everywhere. You want everybody to walk according to what you want. When you move the one, people will obey you and all. That's not how it should be. That position is going to expire someday. And you'll be a normal person too, like other members of the house.
All right then. Well, there are 2 sides to this. First, senators are there to represent their constituencies and also bring concerns from their constituencies to the fore. So basically, they are there to propose bills, basically represent constituencies. That's the first. That's their first business.
The primary obligation.
Not necessarily to chair committees. That's an added responsibility.
Yeah.
So, having sorted out the fact that that's not her core responsibility, that's the first side to it. The second side to it is the optics. The perception of all of this. Now, the Senate is yet to tell us that they've received the certified true copies of the judgment. They are yet to tell us that they've received it. So she's yet to resume fully. She initially was set to have resumed on Tuesday, but due to advice, decided not to go, which I think was wise. Because if she had gone, then probably might have been some sort of showdown. And I don't think that would have worked in her favor. Now, this is not the first committee she's been taken out of. There was another committee, I can't remember exactly now, but this one, Nigerians in Diaspora, non-governmental organization. Now, the question is, why now?
In her absence, use that word. In her absence. Why now in her absence? This is where people are shooting themselves on the right foot. Why now in her absence?
That's a big question. Why now? Especially at a time that there are issues in courts and she hasn't been reinstated. I mean, just waiting a little while, waiting to reinstate her before rejigging that committee would have made more sense. All right? But unfortunately, the leadership of the Senate, and I don't want to make this, unfortunately, that's what it has become. It has become a Senate Natasha war. But it ordinarily shouldn't be. It should be the person being accused, Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Those are the people involved. The 2 people are the ones involved. But the federal government took her to court. The Senate it seems like the Senate is waging war against her, and it doesn't look good for democracy, especially when you now look at the number of women in the Senate. There are 3 of them. One is, constantly at the butcher's store. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. The optics doesn't look good for Senator Godswill Akpabio. It doesn't look good for the leadership of the Senate. It doesn't look good for perception on how Nigeria treats women right now. It doesn't look good. Quite an unfortunate one. But of course, I expect proper explanation to why this has happened to come to the fore.
in her absence, add that part of it. You know when I watched that video, right? So someone introduced Natasha to be the Senate, the chairman of that committee, and I maybe interjected in me. I said, no, she's not the one. No, she's not the one. And
I think there's been the replacement before now, but it was just the announcement was made. That's yesterday, because yesterday was the last day. And
then saying that it's going to take up immediately. If you check the House now at this point in time, you find out that all the senators there, either you're a chairman of a committee or a vice of a committee, and they did that actually for them to balance the power, whatever they have in the House. But at this point in time, Natasha actually is no longer a chairman of any committee, and neither is she a vice chairman of any committee.
All I care about is for the Senate, as soon as possible, to get the CTC of the ruling, Natasha tender the necessary apologies according to the court and be reinstated, because the people of Kogi Central are not being represented.
But do you think this war, like you rightly pointed out, maybe Natasha versus the Senate at this point, do you think it's going to end anytime soon? From the body language of the people who are seen there, the people who are shutting down people. Do you think it's going to end anytime soon?
Okay, my honest opinion. I think the powers that be want to continue to frustrate her.
Okay.
And, they might drag this regardless. And, it just shows that we don't respect courts.
Courts order the ruling, exactly.
We don't. I think they will drag it as much as possible until 2027.
It's okay.
She should be reinstated.
Yeah.
She might be reinstated as soon, maybe before this month runs out. But there will be issues to ensure that her relevance continues to dwindle up until 2027. And then in 2027, she might not return to the Senate.
But should I tell you what I perceive? Nigerians are a very emotional set of people. We are an emotional breed, if I'm to use that word now. At this point in time, if she's to say, I'm not interested again in the Senate position, I want to vie for a higher position, maybe becoming the number one person in Kogi State.
Governor
With the way things are going at this point in time, I think she's gathered enough momentum that will put her there, because she fought the particular hurdle before she became the president. And at the point, I'm not campaigning for her, I'm not from Kogi. Before she became the senator, you understand? And then she was able to be there. Imagine the massive response and she got from the people, even when she got restricted.
That's a possibility.
Anyway,
she decides to go for.
But
then under what party?
What if she joins the ADC? Because as the things are going, okay, fine. I'm not saying anything about that, but anyway.
Anyway, let's get into another conversation.
Exactly.
in what has been termed a stirring major political conversation ahead of the 2027 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has launched a digital platform for political party registration, revealing that a staggering 129 groups have already filed applications. The Commission says the shift to an online process aims to ensure transparency, speed, and accessibility, especially as Nigeria experiences a wave of political realignment. Well, analysts say the surge in new party applications signals widespread dissatisfaction with the existing political structure, potentially setting the stage for an unprecedented ballot shakeup. Some have said this is good for Nigeria, as many political parties should be registered. I think this will make it cumbersome for Nigerians themselves to determine where they stand. We're basically dividing our votes, as far as I am concerned. 129 added to the 19 that we have currently. That's a lot. That's a lot. But of course, do we need more political parties? We probably need, I don't think we need more political parties, really. I think people should just, unfortunately, if the existing political parties don't serve the purpose anymore, they should be phased out. And then those that have genuine interest form parties. INEC, according to Nigeria's constitution, can or should, approve parties, applications that fit into what the requirements are for the formation of a political party. Nigerians are dissatisfied with the parties that are holding sway right now. And we are seeing that opposition is basically non-existent. And the ruling party is largely being blamed for the non-viability of opposition parties. And opposition parties themselves, are basically all of this speaks to for one to be influenced, for you to, drop whatever ideology you have under the guise that, you're fighting each other in a party and indirectly supporting, doing the bidding of the ruling party or some other individual, it means that you're also greedy. So I think greed is our major problem. Most people that form political parties do so to achieve some sort of political relevance. And when they do that, not to gain political office, but to have some sort of kickback. So they do that, destabilize stronger forces, and get some kickbacks much later. So we're all greedy. Everybody wants to grab. Everybody wants to take a piece of the national cake. Now, for these political parties, my advice, if it will be taken, is that they streamline. Those that share similar ideologies come together and, put up a stronger front. When that is done, we can have a viable opposition. PDP doesn't seem like a party that would survive beyond 2027. Even if there is a re-election in 2027, a re-election for APC in 2027 and beyond, PDP doesn't seem like a party that would survive. Labour Party doesn't seem like a party that would survive if nothing is done right now to ensure that the problems in the party are sorted and the party takes a unified front. It doesn't seem like a party that. So basically, all the parties that exist, I haven't even heard Zenith Party. I mean, those are parties that used to make me wonder, if they're just added to the ballot box, the ballot paper. Boots Party, I like the name of that party, Boots Party. And some of the parties, they all should come together, form one strong party. If we have 7 or 9 major political parties, 9 parties in total, opposition will be stronger, and we need opposition for democracy to thrive. You see what happened in Lagos right after the 2023 elections? Because APC in Lagos realized that, look, it's not business as usual.
Exactly.
They started doing things better. We've seen policies, we've seen a desire to basically do things that will benefit the people. So we should have opposition. That's the only way to make democracy thrive.
Having opposition is one thing, and having people who are interested in becoming the opposition is another thing. Now, we're not talking about more political parties. I think 129 of them, people or organizations desiring to be a political platform in Nigeria because they want to be registered on the INEC. I couldn't stop but laugh and giggle about it, reason as who are these people? Now, Nigeria as a nation, with all due respect to this great nation, is a place where we have people without ideology. And then even when we have people that have ideology, they can easily be bought over because their ideological principles are not strong enough. Why am I saying this way? We have 19 viable political parties, viable because they are still there with INEC. They still also maintain what INEC or what the national constitution also desire for them to be a political party. But how many of them do we see during elections? As important as election is, how many of them do we get, to know that they have candidates whom they've actually filed for respective positions in Nigeria? And very little or few of them. Check also the emergence of all these political parties. Find out they are maybe aggrieved members of one party. And then you think maybe because it can't be under anybody's caprice, you want to move over and get yours. And boom, they've gone there. Nobody wants to cow or cut off for anyone. Everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to make their voice, be heard. Nobody wants to be under anybody. And that is a problem we're having in Nigeria at this point in time. People do say that too many hands spoils the brook. But in Nigeria, even with the too many hands, still, something happened during the 2023 election where a particular party, this particular lady have a candidate, she's a candidate of a particular political party, and she has massive followers. And at the end of the election, not even I think it was just one vote. And then I asked, where they lies? What happened to the family members? What happened to the party members? Is it that she does, or they decided not to vote or cast their vote on that particular day, or what? Then you find out that these people are actually out there for the highest bid. It's more like they're doing bazaar sales in the church, going. Who provides the bigger money, whom we're going to support and throw, a weight behind. That is not how it works. For example, if you go to America, where we learn democracy from, we have other political parties in America, but they have the two major parties. They have a two major party system, the Democrats and the Republican. And you find out that these ideologies of both parties, you see it play out in the party members. It's always difficult to see a Republican cross carpet to becoming a Democrat. And also the same, but in Nigeria, the people that made up the APC that we have today are pockets of individuals from every other party, including the Democrats. The progressives are different from the Democrats, if I'm to use that word. But you find out that they don't even know all this because they don't have ideology as individuals. All they want is, where they are going to keep on making money and keep on enriching themselves and their pockets. If I make one to consider, I think if this 129 actually meets up, that shows our ballot sheet, the A4 paper will now be a very tiny one, more like a bets. I hope you see all these boys that go for bets, that's how tiny the paper will be.
I don't think the 129 will be approved.
No, even if we have, let's assume we have 30 or 50 of it. The slip must be long, young boys doing betting.
The ballot paper will look cluttered, and then the images and the names of the party will be very tiny, which will make it difficult for people to determine what party they are voting for. So the lesser we have on the ballot paper, the better for Nigerians, especially those that have difficulty, those that have eye problem.
Anyway, away from that, I wanted to say something, but let's forget about it. I'll tell you after. Away from that, the Supreme Court yesterday affirmed Umibolo as the duly elected governor of the state, dismissing a petition by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its candidate in the September 2024 governorship election, Aswai Godalo. In a dramatic turn, Umibolo extended a public olive branch to his opponent, Aswai Godalo, and called for political unity, while former governor Godwin Obaseki, reacting to the judgment, said that we leave our matter in God's hands, while stating that the manner in which the election was conducted portends grave danger for Nigeria's democracy. He, however, encouraged the people to keep hope alive. Yesterday, when this news broke, I had a particular man from Edo State residing in Benin. I asked him a question, how do you feel about this judgment from the central bank? And he said something about the people's mandate being snatched. And I asked again, the person who won this particular election also happens to be a Benin man and a Edo man to start with. And he has supporters. So if you're talking about people's mandate being snatched, what happened to him? He also feels that his mandate also was being snatched if the judgment did not work in his favor. But I'm happy that olive branch have been extended. And then also, I'm happy that the former governor of the state, Godwin Obaseki, and the people to keep hope alive. I have to say that Edo people should keep hope alive. Nigerians should keep hope alive. And I believe, no matter how disgruntled we are over some judgments coming up, I believe that it's going to get to a point in Nigeria when electoral matters won't be able to get to the court. It's going to be handled just using the ballot papers. We'll have the ballots, we'll cast our votes, and by electronic transmission of results too, we'll be able to know who the winner is without getting to court and all that, because this statement of go to court is more like it's beginning to water down the efficacy of our judicial system. Congratulations to the governor-elect, or the governor of Edo State at this point in time. Congratulations to the people of Edo State that at the end, the power tussle have been brought to rest by the Supreme Court judgment.
Oh, well, congratulations in order right now for those that still feel aggrieved. I think everybody will sheath their sword at this time. Supreme Court has spoken, and like Fina rightly said, we desire a time when elections will be, started and concluded at the ballot, and then there will be no need for anybody to go to court, because the process will be seen clearly by everyone that it was freely and fairly conducted That's what we pray for. Anyway, let's move away from that conversation. Let's get into what the papers have for us this morning. So we'll take a break. When we come back, it will be newspaper headlines. Join us again.
Thank you so much for staying with us still VOP this morning, and it's time for us to take a quick peek on the cover page of the national dailies. And before me here is the Nigerian Tribune, and the window headlines reads: Arewa Economic Forum warns against CBN's new BDC recapitalization. Writers to that story cites threat to northern economy, national security, and then seek extension of policy. The Nigerian Tribune. UBA announces strategic expansion into markets across Africa. Nigeria won't bow to U.S. pressure to accept Venezuela deportees. That's coming from FG. I'll take that again. The story is on page 28 proper. It says that Nigeria won't bow to U.S. pressure to accept Venezuelan deportees. That's coming from FG. The banner headline on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune today reads: How Adoke others stopped Jonathan from removing me as Governor Shettima. Ex-AGF was hunted globally over $1.3 billion OPL 245 saga. Jonathan, I have forgiven everyone behind my ordeal. That's coming from Adoke, and the story is on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. Ababio removes Natasha as diaspora committee chair, appoints Akwa Ibom senator in her place. NNPCL must account for 201. I'll take that again. NNPCL must account for 210 trillion naira, Senate insists. Flood may unleash toxic chemical, poses risks to elderly ecosystem, UN wants. And another bold headline, though the last but not the least of the headlines on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune reads: Supreme Court affirms Obibolo as Edo governor. Those are the stories on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune today.
And to the Vanguard, banner headline here: Visa war. FG explains stance as U.S. slams tighter measures. Says 5-year non-immigrant multiple entry visa for U.S. citizens still in place. 90-day single entry visa validity period applies only to newly introduced e-visas. U.S. introduces fresh $250 visa integrity fee for tourists, students, workers. And the window headlines: FG to borrow 1.76 trillion naira through treasury bill sales in Q3 25. Shettima to APC, PDP, ADC, NNPP. We're all one. Tinubu's reforms boosting economic recovery. FG. Okpabolo declares new era for Edo as Supreme Court affirms mandate. And 2027, ADC will dislodge Tinubu. APC. Arebeshola vows not to sideline state chairman. Utomi backs coalition. Again, headers kill 4 policemen, NSCDC officers in Benue ambush in Benue again. If not for Tinubu, Buhari wouldn't have won APC primary presidency. Senate sacks Natasha Udraha as committee chairman. Those are the headlines on the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper.
The Punch newspaper is up next, and the window headlines reads: Buhari government went after my allies post-2015 election. Jonathan. NNPC refineries may never work again. Dangote. Corrupt politicians using crypto wallets to launder money. And that's coming from EFCC chair. The Punch newspaper is what I'm taking a peep on. And beside the masthead, Nigeria rejected U.S. push to accept Venezuela deportees. That's coming from Toga. And the banner headline reads: Autonomy standoff. Governors gets 4.5 trillion naira local government funds 1 year after Supreme Court ruling. Right after that story, LG yet to open CBN accounts. Labour blames governors, AGF for delay. Falano, Sands accuses governors, Edge and FG. And then we have the major pictorial there from the GTCO plans fresh expansion after London Stock Exchange listing. Igodalo angry as Tinubu governors praise Obebolo's court victory. 3-year-old boy dies inside Lagos Soccerway. LG poll, ballot snatching will trigger by election. That's coming from Lesiak as they won. The story is on page 6 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all the stories that we'll see today on the cover page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
And of course, now let's get into the conversation proper for this morning. $747 million more debt amid hunger. Federal government takes loan for Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. Let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP this morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP this morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Now, the federal government has secured a fresh $747 million loan from the World Bank to fund the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, a move already sparking intense reaction nationwide. Now, while the Minister of Works, David Umahi, hailed the highway as a game changer for economic development and connectivity, critics are questioning the priority of the project at a time when inflation, hunger, and unemployment plague millions of Nigerians. The new debt adds to the country's already ballooning external loan profile, raising eyebrows about Nigeria's repayment capacity amid a weak naira and dwindling revenue. Meanwhile, economic analysts have warned that food prices in Nigeria will continue to rise sharply unless insecurity and logistical breakdowns are urgently tackled. Now, speaking in a televised interview, experts have explained that high transportation costs driven by poor road condition and insecurity in key food-producing regions are pushing staple food items beyond the reach of ordinary Nigerians. The warning comes just as the government moves forward with the highway project, drawing criticism that infrastructure, some flashy infrastructure, may be taking precedence over urgent solution to Nigeria's food and security crisis. We have with us Dele Fanimo, who is a seasoned reporter and political and public affairs commentator, VOP analyst. Thank you very much for joining this morning. And we also have with us Barrister Asim Adams, a legal practitioner, civil rights activist, former spokesperson, Chief Beatrice Itubo at Peter Obi Campaign Organization, Labour Party, Rivers State 2023. Good to have you join us, Barrister.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, and now let me start off with you, Barrister Asim Adams. Nigerians are concerned now. A lot has been said about the coastal highway, the economic benefits, the connectivity. It will bring. It's a laudable project. It's a great infrastructural project for Nigeria. But a lot of Nigerians have said, look, that's not what we need at this time. Inner roads, fixing inner roads and fixing the rail would have done a whole lot better. But now, with the loans coming up, I think I've heard your perception or your reaction to this before now. But now with this recent loan, which basically plunges Nigeria deeper into external debts, how do you feel that Nigerians are struggling with providing food? There was an attack yesterday in Benue, which is supposed to be a food-producing state, and government is doing well, seems to be doing little about that. But then a lot more concentration on the highway. How does that make you feel?
Well, thank you. The thing is, building the highway or infrastructure of that magnitude is not a bad idea. It's a good one. Like the Chinese, say government should construct roads and the people will build the city. Now, if you look at what that means, is that the areas this particular coastal road, or whatever they call it, is going to pass through, a lot of cities or communities, business communities also, are going to develop around that particular, the route, as the case may be. The second reason why I feel that particular project is very important is that if you are traveling from Lagos now to maybe Onitsha or to Port Harcourt, there's a major road that you have to pass through, which is that one that links you from Lagos to Benin to Onitsha, etc., as the case may be, before you cannot go to some other areas. So this particular road also is a good one. But the problem we have in Nigeria, I don't know about the other African countries, is this. When you build this kind of roads, like people or countries that have built, coastal roads of this nature and length and magnitude, is that they normally collect tolls. That is what we call toll gates here. How are you going to, you cannot do those things in Nigeria here, because many of us would not want, a toll gates to be on those particular, the coastal roads, for them to, collect money and maybe use to pay back that loan. So the question I'm asking is this: how is the government, going to pay back the loans that they are taking Because I believe if we had toll gates on those roads, on the road, maybe to an extent, they would have been able to collect, toll fares, for them to now begin to pay back loans. So that's a problem. The second one is that I don't know if this saying, in those days, that says that he who goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing. I don't know if it's still relevant today. And there's a particular one we normally use when we were in secondary school. Those that say, borrow, borrow, make me shine. I hope Nigeria is not shining with borrowed funds and whatever. And at the end of the day, we are going to suffer for it.
Talking about Nigeria shining and all
Yes.
that now, let me get your opinion on this, Mr. Fanimo. When Manga was talking, he said that this particular project, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project, is going to cost us $11 million, and it's going to be done within 8 years, to use that word. Now, we have seen Nigerian governments abandon projects before now. Some persons have also come up to say that going for the construction of the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway is a misplaced priority. Sometime we'll get this coming up. When we have a new government on board, they will not look at that particular direction again, constructing this and all that. Now, this particular loan we're looking at, $747 million, happens to be the highest to be borrowed for infrastructure, for road infrastructure in the history of Nigeria. Are we going to see the hope of Nigerians being dashed, when maybe within the next maybe 2 years after this, we don't really have this particular government coming on board again with a permutation about coalition and all that, and then someone will come on board and say we're not doing this again because it's more like a misplaced priority. Are we going to see that happen with this amount of loan?
Well, we can't assert the right case about continuity or discontinuity of this project. Examples everywhere of abandoned projects. I recall that it was Obasanjo that awarded the contract for Lagos-Ilorin Express Road. Up to now, the Ibadan Ogbomoso axis of that route is yet to be completed. And as a matter of fact, the other ones that have been completed had also gone bad. So, we can't really say. And politics is played in a different manner here in Nigeria, where everybody wants to outshine the predecessor. The successor wants to outshine the predecessor, and in a way, they tend to disrupt the innovations of their predecessors. So it's going to be a double jeopardy if, at the end of the day, another party comes in and that party decides to abandon this project midway, having taken loan to execute this project. But the fact is that, just like Barrister Asim said, it's not a bad idea to have that kind of highway in Nigeria. And but the indices also may not be too good now that we are contending with a lot of issues in Nigeria. And the priority should not be that route over other projects. And particularly, what Nigeria needs now is food. Because if you go around, I can tell you, for average worker now, the least request you get in a month can be less than 20. And these are genuine needs. People are hungry. So if that money is deployed to genuinely focus on agriculture and healthcare, I think it would resonate more with the masses.
Now, we know that most parts of it, it's all parts of it, but Lagos in particular, that is a low plain area, in the past have experienced rising sea levels in the past. Now, my question now is, how sustainable do you think the coastal highway will be, considering the fact that sea levels might rise in the nearest future?
Because of global warming, it's a likelihood that can happen.
How sustainable
Now,
do you think that will be?
You see, because of the cost,
are we going to see
of
our
this
money
project
washed away?
No, because of the cost of this project, and I think it's about I think 7 billion to a kilometer. So we expect that there is serious engineering, and then the strength of the road should be able to withstand such natural disasters, and then the wear and tear on the road. But my problem here in Nigeria is that over the years we have seen contracts being awarded at huge sum, and the money that gets to the contractor had been edited. I'm sorry to use the word edited, which is a local parlance in the media. Must have been, some people must have taken a chunk of this money, that what gets to the contractor will be too meager, and the contractor also wants to make profits. He wants to pay workers, he wants to do some other things, he wants to get equipment. So that's my worry about that.
But do you think we're going to get...
The engineering design should have taken care of this that we are talking about.
Looking at the person that is manning this particular project, looking at the company manning this project, Nigerians actually frowned over the fact that some were saying there was no proper bidding and all that, but finally we found out that a close ally to the president is who is in charge of this particular project, the Calabar-Coastal Highway. Are we going to experience such now at this point in time, given the fact that the person who is manning it is someone that, you know, the president himself have also praised, to say he have watched him do other things before now, so giving this to him is more like Nigeria working in the same direction. And if that actually is to happen, who then do we hold responsible?
Of course, the contractor has a name. It has a registered company, and Tinubu is not going to be there forever. But that country remains after his exit from office, and this project is going to outlast Tinubu, even if he comes in the second time. We're talking about a project that is expected to be concluded in 8 years, and this contractor was awarded this job in the, I think, late last year or so. So for me, it's not something that we should, if that is the area we want to look at, we shouldn't be bothered about if he will perform or not, because technically he must have signed on some documents, except there is a collusion between those in the Ministry of Justice who prepared this agreement, and they deliberately inserted certain clauses that may exonerate the man if he defaults in the process of executing this contract. But for me, but anyway, I'm sure you want to talk about the president giving contracts to his ally. If there was no due diligence, if there was no tender, then the president is wrong in doing that. But if there is competitive bidding and there was tender and he happens to be the one that is the preferred contractor, well.
As a journalist, you know what national bidding is all about.
I'm not a journalist. I'm a reporter.
As a reporter, I know you do. You do your work very well, you know, investigative journalism and all that. But now Nigeria as a nation, people have not really seen how this bidding actually played out. And the likes of the Minister of Work say that it was done in the interest of the people, the way they deemed it fit to. You know, and what we know is that some persons were kind of disgruntled over this particular project. The way it was awarded, the bidding process, and where it is today. The other day, we were told that instead of the first phase of the contract, or the first phase of the construction should be 47 kilometers, but it has something below that. And yet, it was being commissioned by this president's administration. Now, how then are we sure that in 8 years, which Manga said this project will cost, that we're going to get this project sorted out? If people are now commissioning something below what they projected to. And also, I would like you also to also give me your opinion on the fact that before we got from the Minister of Works that the project was being done on a pro bono basis by High-Tech. And at this point in time, we're borrowing. Yeah, that was what you know, we learned when there was the
pro bono, that means no commitment, no funds is committed to
it. It was being done by High-Tech as you know, on a pro bono basis. But at this point in time, we're getting 747
that word pro bono is what I'm trying to understand. Because when you say pro bono, maybe the barrister would explain the Latin word pro bono. It's free of charge. So where is this loan coming from?
That is the question.
Who is going to get the money? And how can somebody embark on such a huge project, running into trillions of naira, and it's going to be pro bono.
And
it's not possible.
Where also whoever
said that may probably don't or may not have understood the word pro bono in the first place.
All right. Okay. Let's Barrister, let me come back to you now. Let's talk about the complaints of pundits that if care is not taken by 2027, Nigeria's external debt will be to the tune of $200 trillion if care is not taken. But then also, let's bear in mind what happened to some of the railways that has been constructed. We saw terrorists blowing up railways. Can we rule out the fact that some portions, some sections of this highway that cuts across 9 states may not be affected in the nearest future? If that happens, what measures do you think government may have put in place or should put in place? I know you don't work for the government, but what measures do you think they should put in place to ensure that this doesn't happen?
The thing is that when people say sometime after today, that is anticipatory. You anticipate that there's going to be issues of this nature having to do with terrorism and banditry. Well, I believe these are things the government knows how to tackle. The issue of security, they have to tackle it. But that does not mean that because you anticipate, terrorists or criminals, coming out to destroy infrastructure does not mean you should not build more. The only thing you need to do is to, go after them and maintain them and secure them, as the case may be. So I believe my only worrisome part of this whole thing is not about the issue of security, how to secure the roads, how to make sure that bandits or terrorists do not come there to obstruct or do a lot of things across. That is not my problem. My biggest problem is this. Right from 1960 to date, Nigeria has been borrowed. I think it's only Gowon. I think it's only the military government of Gowon that never took a loan. I believe so. But apart from that particular regime, all other administrations have been taking loans to finance one project, etc., as the case may be till now. And in spite of the humongous, weight of the wealth, the debt that has been taken, we have not really seen that reflect or commensurately, in terms of development. If you take $747 million, to finance the coastal road, how much debt have you taken before from other countries or other institutions to get that particular road to 47 kilometers or 50 kilometers, as the case may be right now? So the debts are building, and I know that nations, many nations take debt, but how you utilize the debts that you've taken is what matters to all of us. And I believe that the government of the day should be able to, think twice and know how to implement whatever debt they're taking.
More disputes from those who feel displaced in the nearest future, especially from, the border states, the states that share, that the coastal highway runs through. Is there a possibility? And do you think government is ready for these disputes to pay? Ready to pay?
Government is supposed to pay compensations to any particular land that is taken or revoked. Maybe the occupancy certificate is revoked. The Constitution says that the government has to pay compensation. The only problem we are talking about now is this. If you look at the Constitution, they only say compensation. But we are saying it should have been adequate compensation or the prevailing economic compensation for people whose lands were taken or maybe revoked for government and public uses. Of course, we are going to have complaints. And I'm very sure that some of these matters should be in court by this time, because I've seen situations where government will take a land or maybe revoke a certificate of occupancy of a property, and when you do valuation, they will tell you that the value this thing for them or their valuer gave a lesser amount of compensation to be paid, whereas your own independent valuer gave you a higher a price for that particular property. This has been the biggest problem. I know that it's going to reoccur because in Nigeria here, compensation and issues of compensation, a lot of fraud going into that. The last one we did in Rivers, we found that there was a particular, I think a firm that was given that particular contract to pay people whose properties were affected by construction of some, sections of the city highway, as the case may be. But when we got in there, we found out that when the government gave them like 500,000 naira per plot or per property, as the case may be, they will tell you they're going to give you 250,000 naira and hold back the balance. If you don't want to take that, then you go and go to court. We've seen things like that happen. I hope it does not happen, in this, coastal highway something, but I doubt if there will be any exception that it will not happen. That is my take on this.
All right, let's bring in Shedrack Dugbai, who is a special advisor, youth affairs, to former governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, joined today's conversation. Good morning, Shedrack Dugbai.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
All right, Sam here. Let's get your opinion actually on this particular topic as you react to the fact that from what we got, we're told that the project, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project, it's going to be more like the federal government bringing in just 30% of the money, and the people in charge, especially the high-tech, who's supposed to construct the first phase of this particular project, is bearing the brunt of 70% funding of it. And now the federal government is going for a loan of $747 million. Let's get your opinion actually on this particular one.
The disposition of the president as regards to issues of taxation is well known. It's fully established, especially while he was governor of Lagos State. What we are saying now is that Nigeria is being the resources, our collective resources, not being invested in economically viable products. What they are investing our money into is moribund projects, and when they say the other person will pay 70%. Because the person is going to toll the road, and that tolling is just an ample attempt to further impoverish Nigerians in using facilities that their resources was being deployed in producing. So for me, it's just when they say they are the federal government, there's really nothing to trust. I can't really trust them with resources. All of their commitments appear to be genuine. They are throwing money at project. They know that this project does not have the capacity to pay back the loan, and then even when the agents, the partners are bringing just a meager sum of the money, they will overbloat it to say 70%, and yet the 30% they say they are going to be bringing, or far most will do the road at even a bloated price. So there's no seriousness. I can't take them seriously. It's an attempt to hoodwink Nigerians, to further sink in the economy of the country and ensure that the people remain indebted to the government, and they're just trying to create businesses that will last even after they are gone out of office. Why are they? Is the road that important? For crying out loud, they should decongest Lagos. There are other places, other seaports we have in the country. It can be done in Port Harcourt, it can be done in Calabar, it can be done in Delta, it can be done in the east. We should have other alternative routes for bringing in goods into the country, because that's the major reason why they say Lagos is to be decongested with the use of the coastal road. And you also know the nature we are in the serious issues of global warming. Even some cities in Europe and America are currently being submerged, and yet we want to carry our humongous resources and sink it at the back of the nation, so that in no distant time the erosion, the sea will rise and cover it. In this rainy season, are you sure you can apply to the coastal highway road that we're going to be using for only dry season, and you say you want to put so much resources when there is moribund roads, inland roads that are in terrible states, when there are needs for us to create connecting roads within the states, when there is need for us to empower critical human infrastructure? They are paying no attention to it, because that one will not give them the ample opportunity to sink and to steal our resources. That's just another white river project. There's nothing good to come out of it, nothing to hope for. And if it sees the lights of day, it will only be a tool for enriching the pockets of those Lagos bigwigs. There's nothing good to come out of it for Nigerians. Nigeria has no share in that road, and there's nothing to hope for.
All right, this you basically just reeled out a bleak future for Nigerians as it concerns that road, but I'm pretty sure some people will disagree with you, because the road will open up some states, 9 in total, open up nine states. But anyway, let's go to Comrade Godspar Okumbo. Let's take his his thoughts. Comrade Godspar Okubo joins us from Benin. He's would like for you to unmute your microphone so we can hear you, Comrade Godspar. Do you share the same sentiments that this holds no value as against what analysts have said, what some Nigerians have said, that yes, economic analysts, I beg your pardon, what they've said as to the economic viability of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway? Please do unmute your microphone.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. I've followed up discussion carefully, and personally, I have my reservation before now. Since yesterday, I've been thinking it's not a bad idea, but the money that is being loaned for that project is so much that I begin to ask, how do they arrive at that? But aside that, like most of us have said, what is the benefit? What is Nigeria going to get in this road? You have just tried to analyze about the states that is going to benefit from this project. But the truth of the matter is that state is still you are to more of Nigerians, and I mean states that did not benefit. We are in a state of high cost of commodities in Nigeria. Such a money would have helped. The least price you can get for it now is around 930, 940. There are still many other things Nigeria is suffering from. Now, for federal government to come up with the idea of loaning such amount of money for a road that will benefit very few of Nigerians, I don't think is the right step for them to take. You know, because looking at what Nigeria is facing now, the flood has caused so many people homeless, as I'm talking to you, in most states since it began. The heavy downfall for the past weeks now. And if government has actually looked at these areas to give first aid to Nigerians, it would have been preferable to the step that they are taking. So for me, I don't support this idea. I don't think this is the right time.
Okay.
No, to push for this project that government is actually bringing up now.
All right, then. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's get into another conversation very quickly. Vice President Shettima made a statement yesterday at an event, and some have said this is hitting at the president's authority to remove an elected governor or elected officer. Well, let's x-ray what the vice president said, especially as it relates to the removal of Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State. Let's x-ray that when we come back. Join us again. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP this morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Well, Nigeria's political temperature spiked as Vice President Kashim Shettima publicly criticized President Bola Tinubu's handling of the Rivers State political crisis, particularly the reported sacking of Governor Siminalayi Fubara's loyalists. Shettima's remarks, seen as a bold challenge to Tinubu's authority, have added new tension within the ruling party, with some calling it a rare moment of open disagreement between the country's top two leaders. Well, the comment comes amid broader political unrest and elite power struggle that are reshaping Nigeria's fragile democratic landscape. Well, now, that's one conversation. Now, we'll also touch on former Attorney General Mohammed Bello Adoke, who has also stirred national attention with his stunning public statement on the controversial OPL 245 oil deal, declaring he has forgiven everyone behind his global persecution. Adoke, who was pursued internationally over allegations in the $1.3 billion oil block deal during the Jonathan administration, insists in his memoir that he was unfairly targeted. Well, prominent voices like Uche Naji have now called on the federal government to issue a formal apology, describing Adoke's ordeal as state-sponsored injustice. Now, the twin developments, Vice President openly rebuking the President and a former minister reclaiming his narrative, underscores the deepening fracture in Nigeria's political and judicial system. Now, let's start off with the Vice President's statement. We still have with us the gentleman, Daily Fanimo, seasoned reporter. We have Barrister Asim Adams, of course, and the gentleman from our outstations, Shedrack Odugbai and Comrade Godspa Okumo. Now, gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us. Let me come to Barrister Asim Adams. I always like to start with you. Yes. Now, this statement made by Shettima,
yes,
and doesn't it speak to the fact that there is some sort of discord within the APC? I mean, he was narrating his own experience. Look, it took certain individuals like Adoke to speak on his behalf, and the president has no power to remove an elected official. How do you think the president will take this statement, the presidency, and the president's spokespersons, whom we know usually always want to hit back? Should we expect a clapback at this time?
Well, thank you very much. You see, when this news broke, I saw on social media people jumping up and down and saying there's problem here and there.
You don't think there is?
See, let me tell you. See, I don't trust politicians. You see, we have people we refer to as agent provocateurs. You understand? They said that is in politics. You have them there. They stir the honestness to see whatever is going to be the outcome, whereas their intention is different. You understand the point now? Mm-hmm. And they are collaborating with somebody, the principal somewhere. Now, in this case, I'm not saying this is what is happening here, but students of political history all over the world should know that vice president feuds, littered everywhere. In the US, for instance, are you aware that if you look at half of the presidents of America and their vice presidents they don't agree.
They don't seem to agree.
They don't seem to agree. It got to a point that Roosevelt, the vice president to Roosevelt, I think the man's name is John Garner, now described, his position or the position of the vice president, as worthless, just like spit, a bucket full of spit. You understand the point? And so these are the issues surrounding these two offices. Most presidents see the vice presidents as maybe a spare tire handbag that they go around with. Now, coming down to what has happened in the few days before now, you remember Atiku Abubakar had issues with his principal, Obasanjo, as the case may be. How did it pan out? At the end of the day, they still won their second tenure. Is it not so? In spite of those cracks that we saw,
they won won the second term, but then the principal wrote a damning comment.
There was even
which basically
said there was a point. He even got to a point where a sitting vice president of PDP extraction or stock had to join the ACN. I don't know if you understand. As a sitting vice president in Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, are you not aware? Now, when he went in there was this, rumpus all over the place. They even went to court to say if he has such powers or privilege. And the court said, yes, of course, he has that to belong to any party of his choice, even though he's holding the office of a vice president. So this goes to tell you that it's been there. In this particular case, it is just his opinion. You understand? And because you are a vice president of government, you cannot have an opinion on an issue. I'm very sure that maybe when the president was to take that decision, he may have disagreed with him, in the arena, whatever his case may be. You understand the point now? Okay. But now coming out openly to say that, okay, let me just open up and say what I have to say. That does not mean they cannot go together. That does not mean that the crack, as people expected, is there, in my own opinion.
But constitutionally.
But they can work together and still achieve a second term or second term.
Constitutionally, Barrister Darlings, Barrister Asim Adams, constitutionally, does the president have the power?
No, we'll see. The commentary we have run here and other forums I've said that, you see, the president does not even have that particular power under our constitution. And I describe the action of the president as at that time as acting with Nestorian braggadocio. That is, you see, people call it Dutch courage, kind of. He didn't have it. But let me tell you, it is not even the president that the action of the president that beats me. No.
The Senate.
The National Assembly.
The National Assembly.
Because yes, the president has the right to do one or two things, but he cannot overreach himself. And who is going to tell the president that you cannot overreach yourself? It is the National Assembly. So I was not even disappointed in the president, but I was disappointed in the National Assembly, who could not look at the president to his face and say, Mr. President, you cannot do this. Just like somebody advised, Jonathan, as at that time, like he was saying,
yes,
that somebody advised Jonathan. Jonathan was going on that particular course. But somebody, drew him back and said, no, Mr. President, you cannot do this. I don't know if you understand the point now. So I don't even blame the president. Because the Nigerian constitution, as presently composed and constituted, you find out that the executive powers of a sitting president, even the governor, is overreaching and alarming.
Okay.
Making him one of the most powerful, Homo sapien, political Homo sapien in the world. So somebody had to prick him and say, no, you can't do this.
Okay.
So he just made a commentary, in my own opinion.
All
so
right,
it doesn't signify that there's a deep, crack.
A rift. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then. Mr. Fanimo, do you share the same view, or do you think this points to a rift? And then the fact that the northern extraction, northern politicians, northern political elite seem to want to take power back from what we have seen. Is this a pointer? Let's not forget that very recently there was the talk that the president might be seeking to replace Vice President Kashim Shettima as vice president come 2027, seeking to bring on Kwankwanso, as his vice president. And we saw what happened in Gombe as well, where the law, there was a free for all as regards free tickets, an express ticket for the vice president.
You see, I want to say here that it's just a pointer to what is to come. And the whole thing is gathering storm.
What is to come? What is to come?
What is to come?
Yes.
Of course. The Northerners are not pretentious. They can't wait till 2031.
So they want to take
power at all costs. And they also find an ally in Shettima, whose powers had been decimated further as a result of some slips in the past. So he's now on a mission of, if it won't work, then I would move to the other side.
Is it just the Northerners or Nigerians in general? Can
It's
we see some
it's
people
not
who are a bit
Nigeria in
happy?
general.
Okay, doesn't mean that
You see,
Nigerians are happy with the
there's a difference between politics and governance.
The reality we're facing.
We are
this
talking
nation at this
politics
point in
now. We are talking politics, not governance.
But the Northerners have come up to say that the reason for them actually to talk about or what they are saying is because they are not seeing anything.
Look.
You know, democracy.
What Buhari did in 8 years was also as bad as this. Did you see any Northerner condemn him? Let's be realistic. We are talking politics. We are not talking about governance.
But
it is only when you are
listen.
It is only when you are talking governance then you are talking. Then you can now delve into economy, health, education, and all that. But this is strictly politics we are addressing now. Shettima came out to show that all is not well with him, and is ready to spoil for a fight. He was just dropping that message yesterday, and it was a deliberate message he dropped because he knew that the game was almost up with him since about 3 weeks ago, when it was touted that. And as a matter of fact, even if he goes beyond this, Tinubu will drop him.
You think so?
I know so. You see, most of the time when I talk here,
you don't think that will affect the president's chances in 2027?
There is nothing that will affect the president's chances. How much vote did Shettima deliver in the last election? Was it not here that he was telling everybody that, look, they are trying to rout me because I'm in minority? How many votes in a state that is assailed by terrorism and all sorts? Now we are talking about a Kwankwaso that is ready to deliver over 3 million votes.
With the entire North is being angry at this point in time.
Does Kwankwaso have 3 million votes, saying that in 2023 election he was only able to deliver 1 million votes?
Okay,
he was only able to get 1 million.
Without conceding, let us agree that he's giving 1 million. How much did Shettima deliver?
But at this point in time, Mr. Fani,
the political strength of Kwankwaso cannot be equated with that of Shettima. That's the truth.
Barrister, you were going to say something.
No, I said I think politically speaking, I align with what he's saying. If actually there's going to be, if Tinubu says he wants to
do it. But then let's also consider the governors. Babagana Zulu and a few others are gunning. I mean, they are pitching their tent with Shettima.
No, see, the point is this: when the chips are down, the chips are not yet down.
That is it.
When the chips are down, that is when you know who are the real politicians. Let me tell you why. If there's going to be a battle or maybe an idea or suggestion to remove Shettima as a running mate to Tinubu, let me tell you one thing. Under the law, it is the press is. It does not mean that because Shettima is vice president to Tinubu, then it has to continue. No, they have to go back to go through the party nomination, and the party nominates. They can nominate Tinubu as their presidential candidate for 2027, and they can say not to nominate him. Now, if they now nominate Tinubu as the candidate, you understand the point now?
Yes.
It is not fixed or cast in stone that he must go along with Shettima.
And if he doesn't,
I'm talking about the law. It doesn't mean that he must go along. So he has the prerogative to choose whosoever he wants to run with him, having gotten that nomination ticket. So it is just that particular whatever. So Tinubu can decide to continue with him. He can also decide to not to continue with him. He has not done anything under the law that will maybe anything can be invoked. But politically speaking, and why I said I align my argument with his own is that there is no politician that wants to deal with the northern part of Nigeria that will hear something about the Kwankwaso that will wave it off with just a handful. I'm telling you the truth. Shettima, Kwankwaso, that is Shettima versus Kwankwaso. Me, I believe the Kwankwaso has more clout and power, more flair and charisma than Shettima.
The flair is only in Kano State.
You understand? Not just Kano State. Not just Kano State. He has the flair. Kano, there's this state they call Kebbi State. It was carved out from Kano State. Are you aware of that? Yes. What happens in Kano is what happens in Kebbi State. So Kwankwaso can go around and do one or two other things. I believe so. He's somebody that can really, he has that trajectory and traction that can, take on
All right,
Shettima.
let's get your opinion on this.
That's my alignment, which is on.
Let's get your opinion on this, Shadrach or Dubai. Do you also share the same line of thought that what the Vice President spoke about yesterday, it's more like a slam on this present administration, or is it just that he's just being a Nigerian to talk about what is constitutionally right or wrong?
First of all, I must celebrate the man's courage. We shouldn't be the people should not concern themselves so much with politics that when a man speaks the truth, we try to vilify him. It shouldn't be. What Shettima said was an act of courage in telling the Nigerian people, and I'm speaking truth to power generally, and we are excited that I had the courage to make such statements in public domain. Whether I amass to political correctness or incorrectness is a thing for another day. First of all, the man has said clearly that the president does not have the requisite capacity to remove and duly elected governor. He's not even a councillor. That tells you that Tinubu had acted in a frolic of his own. Talking about the political consequences, everybody knows that in recent times, Shettima has been hoodwinked, been cornered, been reduced, and been maligned in an attempt to reduce him next to nothing. And you cannot attack the man's political ego and not expect him to react. It has never been so. Mind you, Tinubu did not appoint Shettima. It's not an appointed position. It's an elected position. It was a joint ticket. And Shettima also has the right to express his own political opinions, just as Tinubu would. And so for me, if Tinubu is not delivering the defense of democracy and is trying to play dirty politics, and yet he does not want to carry every member of his cabinet along, he's not giving them a sense of responsibility, then you have every right to fight back. And I see them cutting Shettima to size in 2027, and I see Shettima fighting back. For me, I'm happy. It's good news for us, especially for us in the opposition, because when your enemy is making a mistake, you do not interrupt. So I'm happy that very sooner or later the chicken will come home to roast, and I hope that Shettima draws the for us now he has thrown the first punch.
All right.
And I know Tinubu is somebody who always replies punches with punches, so I expect to see two of them get down. Since they cannot offer governance, the politics should break down so that we'll give room for someone else who can offer good governance to Nigerian people. I've lost trust in this Tinubu's administration, and anything that signals their end is good news to me.
Of course, you are in the opposition, so that is expected. You're in the opposition. Anyway, we'll talk before the end of this show. We'll talk about the Supreme Court ruling that has affirmed Monday Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State. We'll talk about that, and I'd like your take and how you perceive your former principal will take or has taken that one. But anyway, staying with this conversation now, let's x-ray this National Assembly, because we seem to be exonerating the National Assembly in all of this. The barrister here, pointed to the fact that Nigerians should be concerned about a National Assembly that endorses everything the president says. Basically, a National Assembly whose members have at different occasions stood up to say, on your mandate we will stand, referring to the president, of course. Is this National Assembly, what do they have are they ready to uphold democratic tenets? What's your take? Let's have your take now, and then we'll go to Comrade Godspar.
Okay. Okay, are you talking to me, please?
All right. The question is for Shadrach Odubai.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When we were speaking about, I've said it before, times with that number, that no one individual can destroy a democratic system. No one individual, whether president or governor, without the due support and permission of the legislative arm, whether it's the National Assembly or the State Assembly. If you want to see, because the democracy was designed in a way and manner that the legislative arm is senior to the executive arm of government, senior to the legislature. That is to say, when a governor makes mistakes or perhaps does anything that is counterproductive to the interest of the people, because everything about the democratic system is anchored and focused on the people, the legislature will call him to action, we carry out legislative oversight, we scrutinizing, and if the man is truly found wanting, they have the rights to kick him out of office. So for us to see what we have in Nigeria today is a legislative arm of government that has been bullied to submission, that has been reduced. So much so that the president is not the one choosing the leadership of the National Assembly, and they are being pegged by the narrative of party politics. That is to say, if you are not favorable to the government in power, you'll be reduced, you'll be cornered, you'll be bullied, and all of that. So for me, the National Assembly has further lost his rights, lost his respect, lost his honor. And during the time of President Buhari, we saw some level of independence. We saw President Bola Saraki, the former Senate president, speak truth to power occasionally. What we have seen with the president of Senator Councillor is something that is very irritating, something very disenchanting. That no matter what the president says, no matter the law that is being done, even the legislative oversight have been reduced to nothing.
All right, then. Okay.
So for us, there's really no need to write to me, but the legislature has played woefully. And that failure of this current administration can be hanged on the legislative arm of government. And many of them are also scared. Why are they scared? Because even in this current regime, they have been trouble with access. That is to say, it is hard for someone to now aspire for public office, and if he's not using the All Progressive platform, it will be difficult for him to even secure victory. Because all of that political platform have been cornered and reduced. Whether it's Labour Party, whether it's PDP, whether it's not for this ADC that's coming. Because the danger the thing really potent is not that people cannot aspire to challenge APC, is that even people who are trying hard but are not aligned closely with the faith agenda of the president will not be given an ample opportunity to return to the Senate or to the National Assembly. That is the problem we'll be facing. That if there is no room for access, that is, if there are no viable platforms that people can use to challenge the city, the governor in power. So that even those
let me ask you this one, because
of democracy,
we're working within a time frame.
We'll be frustrated out of power.
We're working within a time frame. So let me just quickly ask you this question. Right after the Supreme Court ruling, the Supreme Court ruling yesterday affirmed Monday Okpebholo as the governor of the state, and the contender has accepted the ruling of the court. But with what we've seen play out within the PDP, is there a possibility that your former principal, Godwin Obaseki, might be moving away from the PDP if he seeks some political relevance in the future?
If you say it's moving out of the PDP,
I'm asking you the question.
Deny the fact. But the question is moving to where? It's certainly not the APC.
But he will move. But he will move.
No. When you say we move, in Edo State, the case of the People's Democratic Party is really in a sorry state, because we don't just have a national party that is in trouble. The state here, there are offshoots of the national. We have Janobi, who is allegedly the SASA chairman in Edo State, willing and ready to do the direct bidding of Nyesom Wike and the other disgruntled members of the party. So it is almost impossible for persons in Edo State to aspire to office and not get thrown out by the court or any other illegal means. So there are people who want to also remain in People's Democratic Party while working hard and assiduously for the ADC or the new coalition in ensuring that the callousness of the APC is being cut down. But to say that many of us with good conscience who have seen the level of pedestrian government, the failures of this current administration, their inability to come out with a people-centered and oriented project, to now move to go and join them, to do what? I mean, is Godwin Obaseki going to join Tinubu to destroy the country, or is he going to join the cluelessness of this current administration led by Monday Okpebholo? Who is he joining the APC? That's the question I want to ask. On what basis? Because
Monday Okpebholo has offered the olive branch.
By ideology.
Monday Okpebholo has offered the olive branch. He has said, "Look, let's have a unified government. Let's come together and make Edo State great again." Do you have a problem with that? Do you care more about political aspirations than the growth of the state?
If he says he wants us to have a unified government, will he give Aswe Godalo, the man who was duly elected by people, the chance to become governor? On what capacity do we now want to work with him? I don't understand. Is he going to step down to make sure that Aswe Godalo becomes governor? Because he knows he didn't win. So on what basis will a man who does not have the requisite competence and character? Do you know who Monday Okpebholo is? A man who had problem calling the figures of his own budget, a man who campaigned for election and does not have a manifesto, does not have a template, does not have a plan. A man who just, all he knows in government is how to buy cars, buy buses, buy vehicles, buy Hilo, buy Tundra. So on what basis are we going to engage such government for meaningful production?
Do you honestly think that's a fair argument that, because he didn't pronounce the figures, he didn't enunciate the figures right? Is that a fair argument Does that mean he's not fit
No, that
to
is not a
govern the
fair
state?
argument. What I'm telling you now, Mondo Pebolo, while he came to campaign for
All right.
Edo State, he didn't even have a working template. There's no manifesto. There's no plan. There's no vision. What are we now going to say? Oh, I like what Mondo Pebolo wants to do. There's no template in any direction to say, as governor, this is what I want to implement at this level and at that level. So what will we be discussing? When they bought vehicles for the local government chairman, the outside local government chairman, instead another vehicle SUV. There's no excuse for you not to deliver.
Thank you so much for that. Let's get Comrade Gospar Okumbo join the conversation. Comrade Gospar, what do you have to say about the statement made by the Vice President yesterday about who has the right to remove an elected officer or who does not? And also, I would like to get your opinion on the words of Nnaji when he was saying that Nigeria as a nation owes the former Attorney General of the Federation a public apology regarding the OPL 245, case that happened, I think $1.3 billion case that happened in 2015. I would like you to unmute your microphone if you can hear me, please.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Shettima's statement is just a show that he's not happy with Tinubu. Come to think of it, they have gone through almost 2 years as in this administration, or 3 years, I mean to say. The truth of the matter is they are politicians. I don't want to take him seriously, even though he's saying the truth. Yes, there is nowhere in the constitution that the president has such powers to remove even a councillor. Yeah, there's nowhere. We have talked about these issues separately, even from section 305 of the constitution that gives him the power to declare a state of emergency, which grounds there are reasons to which you can declare such state of emergency. And we have said the time without number that not any of those things as mentioned in the constitution was actually happened in River State. Then outside that, for the vice president to come up now and say the president does not have power to do this, if things have been good between him and Tinubu, I don't think he would have come up to say this. So I don't want to talk about it. I know that things is not going down with him between him and Tinubu or whoever in the governance, that things is just bad for that man. And I feel sorry for him. That is for that. Now we are talking about the National Assembly. It's so unfortunate to say those who are supposed to be the mouthpiece of the people are the same people who are joining hands with the executive to cause more problem, to impoverish the people and see that the people are in stress and serious difficult situation or circumstances in this country. In June 12th, you saw that it was even in the National Assembly that the president went to make his speech. I wonder what happened to his office. And the people in the House of Assembly, the National Assembly, were clapping for him. They were happy. All the nonsense that the president, sorry to say, all what the president said that was not even what the people want. They were happy. They were applauding him. So it's so unfortunate that we have this kind of
let's watch our language. You don't say the statement from the president.
I actually withdrew it and I said sorry to
thank you very much.
But to be sincere, the government of the day, they are disgrace to Nigerians.
Well,
and likewise, those at the level of the National Assembly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gospar Okumbo. Now, before we move away from this conversation, Barrister Asim Adams, let me come back to you now. Let's talk about the Adoke OPL case. Let's just touch on that a little bit. Now, we saw how it all went. The EFCC were on him, and then the courts basically did not find anything. The courts around Italy, nothing really was found. From Italy to UK to US, nothing was found, and the man has been vindicated, as it were. Now, to what extent did the EFCC handling of the Adoke prosecution reflect a broader political motivation rather than judicial integrity?
See, I have said that plutocrats are the ones that are in government and in power in Nigeria. if people begin to give this narrative that Adoke, the government should apologize for Adoke, I want to call on the government also to apologize to other Nigerians that the EFCC has maliciously prosecuted. I want to also call on the government of Nigeria to apologize to the helpless, hopeless Nigerians that the Nigerian police has maliciously prosecuted that are in remand custody today by virtue of the fact that a magistrate will send them there when the law says that they are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Awaiting trial inmates, there are 70-80% of inmates in all our prisons, correctional centers in Nigeria today. And most of those people there are innocent on investigation. I want to also say that the EFCC should apologize to my client. About 2 weeks ago, he was arrested 2 years ago, kept in their custody. His tools of trade were taken from him. And just 2 weeks ago, we were able to release those things from the EFCC Lagos office, where we wrote them a letter that since you have maliciously prosecuted this young man, arrested him and kept him in detention for days, but later found out that he was not culpable. So did they render an apology to him? No, they did not do that.
But let's speak
So
to
what
that
I'm saying
problem.
is that if you say that the government should apologize to Adoke because he's a big man, he's a plutocrat, he's a bourgeois, then the government should also in turn apologize to this number of Nigerians have said. There are so many all over Nigeria here. See, my take is this. We kind of eulogize and praising the plutocrats in Nigeria today.
Right, so
If it were not Adoke, does that mean that the Nigerian government will not apologize?
Is this eulogizing
plutocracy and plutocrats?
or speaking to the what we've seen play out, EFCC basically
That is what I'm saying.
hounding people.
That is what
and
I'm
then the
saying.
courts-
If not
the
for
courts
Adoke now,
not doing
nobody will
due-
know.
And the courts not taking time to x-ray cases before issuing judgments.
That is what I'm saying, that if not for Adoke now, this issue or this narrative will not be on the table. Just recently, Governor Oti, I saw a visual on social media where a man who was alleged to have bought a stolen generator was sentenced to life imprisonment or death. I don't know exactly how they put it. He was received just 2 days ago by Governor Oti. So who's going to apologize to that man? So my take here is that, yes, I know Adoke, they can apologize to him. But he's not visible because he's a big man, he's a plutocrat. Now, let me tell you, if I were to be a man who should advise Adoke, instead of asking for government to apologize, he can go to court, approach court and say that he was maliciously prosecuted by the government, and he can claim damages or compensation for that.
I don't think he's going to do that, because in his book he wrote, he said, I have forgiven everyone who has a hand in that particular
That's
appeal.
right.
He decided to let him. It wasn't Naji who was calling for the national apology to be given.
That is what I'm saying. If they apologize, they should apologize to other Nigerians,
Including your clients.
including my clients. That is, these people, they have been maliciously prosecuted. I am saying that with due respect to him. I am not saying he does not have the right or they should not apologize to him. But if they do that, then equally the Nigerian government or security agencies must offer or render apologies, to those Nigerians who are in detention today, but who later will find out that they were innocent of the offenses they were charged for.
All right.
Who's going to apologize to them? That's just my take on this. I don't say he should continue what he's doing, and I believe that he's going to get an apology because he's a big man. What about the poor man in the villages there?
All right, thank you very much, Barrister C. Adams, for your thoughts there. Let's move on to another conversation now. 200 trillion naira missing. NNPC boss avoids Senate again as outbreak grows over oil money mystery. Well, the Senate has said, look, we need to hear Bayo Julari. We need to have him speak on monies missing. Well, let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. VOP this morning, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Julari, has again failed to appear before the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, despite a 10-day ultimatum issued to him over unaccounted funds totaling 210 trillion naira. The committee, probing serious discrepancies in the NNPC financial dealings, expressed deep frustration as Julari neither appeared nor sent a representative. Lawmakers condemned what they describe as deliberate avoidance and warned of potential constitutional actions if the trend continues. The controversy stems from allegations that the NNPCL has withheld critical revenue from the Federation account funds desperately needed to address Nigeria's economic challenges. But despite public outcry and growing demands for transparency in the oil and gas sector, Julari's repeated absence is seen by many as disregard for democratic oversight. We still have with us in the studio Delafani Voices and reporter and VOP TV in-house political analyst and barrister Asim Adams, an Esquire, a legal practitioner, also civil rights activist, former spokesperson Chief Beatrice Tubo, and P2B campaign organization of the Labour Party in Rivers State. Also, Shedrack Odugbai, who is a senior advisor, a special advisor, youth affairs to former governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki. And we have Comrade Gaspar Okumbo, a public and political commentator, also joined this conversation. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. Now, let me start off with you, Mr. Delefanimo. This particular call by the Senate committee, when they were reviewing the accounts of NNPCL, the person in charge was of the opinion that Julari must come to answer them. Is this really fair, given the fact that Julari was not even there? He wasn't even the group GMD of NNPCL when these transactions happened, when these discrepancies were found. Rather, they were more like leaving the man, Melekiari, who was there, who was manning the affairs of that NNPCL up until now. What do you have to say about this also, given the fact that this particular amount we're talking about, 210 trillion, is a very big amount of money, bigger or in general higher than what Nigeria owes as its debt globally?
You see, it is the office that the Senate has invited, not the personality. And there is continuity in office. I was once in the web of this kind of arrangement before. My predecessor, MD in Leadership newspaper, had a brush with EFCC. One day they just came, commando-like, and picked me up. I had to answer to some of those questions. And the ones that I am not involved in, I had to explain to them, So let this man appear before the Senate committee and let him explain his rules. And if there is any need, you can't jump over him and begin to invite Mele Kyari. Mele Kyari is no longer in office. Julari is in the office today, and by implication, he is the chief executive and he must answer to every question that they ask him in the Senate. So, again, I'm not surprised about this Among Us money that is being thrown
110
up.
trillion naira.
Why I'm not surprised is NIT, Extractive Industry Transparency International, had said this in the last 10 years, that the last administration for 8 years never audited NNPC accounts, and it fell on deaf ears. NNPC is the only company I've ever seen that the overhead is more than the capital. And unproductive venture that has not even produced anything other than going up and down, organizing. Even recently they went to UAE for a conference. So the whole of Nigeria, they cannot go to Budu Ranch. They cannot go to any other places in Nigeria. There are tourist sites in Nigeria where they can just also do some of these meetings. But it has to be UAE, just for the extra code and the per diem. So what we are saying is, it's a whole lot of mess, NNPC as it is today. And I think somebody somewhere must have that political will, and which is the president, to make sure that all these things are sorted out once and for all.
Thank you. Barrister, madam, let's get your opinion on this also. As you know that this particular oil happens to be the major revenue generation of Nigeria. But we're having a discrepancy of 210 trillion naira. That we don't know how this money is actually, what happened to it. Is it with the liabilities, is it with the assets up until today? And then the House committee called on the group GMD and is here to answer them. What is really happening, if I'm to ask?
I think the discovery of oil and gas has been a cost to Nigeria. You see, right from 1977, that was when NNPC came into being. NNPC was formed, from the NNOC plus the Ministry of Petroleum Development in Nigeria. That was what NNPC, by decree number 33. That was when I think it was Obasanjo that was in power. That was that decree that brought NNPC to being. Now, soon thereafter, you remember that there was this same problem with oil in Nigeria, where there was this rumor when we were in secondary school. They said one man took 2.8 billion naira out of Nigeria and went to Uganda, and the Idi Amin seized the plane with whatever oil money. And the man was one-time minister of petroleum in Nigeria. Yeah. Then you have the oil windfall and all those things that during the IBB's regime, nobody accounted for it. Now you come in. So NNPC has been a behemoth, a kind of a behemotian cesspool of fraud. That you now see that on a daily basis, instead of a particular company to help Nigeria develop, is further depleting and destroying Nigeria, as the case may be. Now, under the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, we found out that the NNPC was now, brought under the CAMA, that is corporate affairs. It was now registered as a limited liability company. Now, I think the reason why they had to register NNPC as a limited liability company is for, prudence and good management. But with all this still, the company is not going forward, it's not going backward. Now, coming whether the Senate or National Assembly has the premature authority to, do the oversight function over NNPC as case may be, yes, they do have. Under Section 88 and Section 89 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended, the National Assembly, ipso facto, the Nigerian Senate, has that a premature authority to call on any particular political officer that is holding a particular political office in a bureaucracy or anything that is government-owned to come and, come for investigation, accountability, as the case may be. And even as we are here, that is what we are doing. Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution gives you, the journalists, the media practitioners, the right to also ask this kind of questions. Where did 1.2 trillion naira go to? That it is not only the Senate that should begin to do that, but the Senate has that premature authority to call this man to question. If the man is not coming, The Senate, under their rules, also have the right to ask the IG of police to arrest and bring that man before the Senate committee. So what are they waiting for? I've never seen a particular institution that has so much enormous powers, but cannot utilize it.
All right.
I don't know why it is like that.
Unfortunately,
it's unfortunate.
We're out of time for this conversation, as we will continue this conversation from the 10 o'clock hour as we get into newspaper review. Dangote has come out to say, look, NNPC, Nigeria's refineries will not work. And this is after about $20 billion have been sunk into it. Oh well, we'll talk about all of this in the course of. Well, let's take. We must say a very big thank you. We just might take a few seconds from our outstation guest, Comrade Okumbo. Let's have 30 seconds, please. Let's have your reaction. You could sum up all the conversations or react to this one. Let's have your summation in 30 seconds. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
The last issue we are talking about, NNPC, there's so much fraud going on there. My own take in all of what we have discussed, the legislative arm of government has a lot to do to make this country a better place for Nigerians. And if they have there are things for them to do, like they call for the NNPC boss, they don't need to wait all year. They have called, there's some news everywhere, and before you know this will slide, we will not hear anything about it. The man will not go and answer their call. Like Barrister have said, they can give an order to the Inspector General of Police to bring him.
All right,
let things be done accordingly.
That will be a good place to anchor this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on the show. We must say a very big thank you to Barrister Asim Adams, who is a legal practitioner, civil rights activist, former spokesperson, Chief Beatrice Itubo, Peter Obi campaign organization, Labour Party in Rivers State, and also big thanks to Daily Fanimo, seasoned reporter, public and political affairs commentator, VOP in-house analyst, and of course, Shedrack Odubai, SA, Youth Affairs, the former governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, and Comrade Godspar Okumbo, public affairs commentator, human rights activist, and Secretary General, Edo Civil Society Organization. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the program. Newspaper review comes up shortly. On behalf of my colleague, Fina Okechukwu, and Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Join us again at 10. Bye for now.